Your mother-in-law said it. Your own mother said it. The neighbor who raised 5 kids the right way said it too. You're spoiling that baby. He doesn't need to be in your arms all the time. And you went quiet. Because deep down, part of you started to doubt yourself. But what if I told you that you're not the one making a mistake? It's the science they never learned. Before any scientific explanation, I need to say something to you directly, as close to eye as a video allows. The instinct you feel to keep your baby close is not weakness. It's not excess. It's not unhealthy attachment. It is your nervous system doing exactly what 200,000 years of evolution programmed it to do. There is a term in behavioral neuroscience called co-regulation. And this concept, which most grandmothers and in-laws will never hear about, completely changes the conversation around spoiling. Co-regulation is the process by which a baby's immature nervous system uses the nervous system of a regulated adult as an anchor, as a mirror, as a neurological life vest. A baby does not yet have the physiological capacity to self-soothe. In other words, when your baby wants to be held, wants you close, wants to smell you and feel your warmth, he is not being manipulative. He is surviving in the only way his brain knows how. And you, by responding to that call, are not spoiling him. You are being neurologically essential. Hold on to that word, co-regulation. It is your shield. Let's go one level deeper, because knowing the name isn't enough. You need to understand the mechanism. That way, no one can talk you out of it again. A newborn's nervous system is radically different from an adult's. The prefrontal cortex is still under construction. This is the brain region responsible for regulating emotions, for tolerating frustration, and intentionally calming down. It doesn't finish developing until around age 25. 25 years. A 6-month-old baby literally does not have the neurological resources to self-soothe by choice. So what happens when he cries and no one comes? His body interprets the absence, even a temporary one, as a survival threat. The amygdala, the brain's alarm center, fires. The HPA axis, hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenal glands, collapses into a stress response. And cortisol, the stress hormone, floods his body. An organism that still cannot metabolize it efficiently. Studies published in the journal Development and Psychopathology show that babies left to cry for extended periods display cortisol spikes, spikes that persist even after they stop crying. Meaning, he stopped screaming, but the biological stress continued inside. He simply switched off the external alarm because he learned no one was coming. That is not discipline. That is learned helplessness at the hormonal level. And do you know what happens when you do come? When you pick him up, press his chest to yours, and breathe slowly near his ear? His nervous system synchronizes with yours. His heart rate begins to mirror yours. Cortisol drops. Oxytocin, the hormone of bonding and safety, rises. He is not learning to be demanding. He is learning that the world is a safe place. And that learning will shape his emotional architecture for the rest of his life. Now, we need to talk about the elephant in the room. External pressure. He's going to become your little kangaroo. You're raising a child who won't know how to cope. Back in my day, babies stayed in the crib, and everyone turned out just fine. Those phrases have a technical name. They are intergenerational transmissions of parenting practices. Practices based on historical contexts of economic survival, not developmental neuroscience. In plain terms, your mother-in-law was not wrong for her reality, but the science has moved forward, and today, we know more. The problem is what that judgment does to you. When your parenting choices are repeatedly questioned, your own stress axis activates. Social judgment triggers the same neurological pathways as a physical threat. Your amygdala fires. You begin to doubt your instinct. And then, something tragic happens. You start suppressing your natural response to your baby's cries, not because you believe it's right, but because you're too exhausted to keep defending what you know is true. And when a mother suppresses the caregiving instinct, her limbic system goes to war with itself. Guilt on one side, pressure on the other, exhaustion in the middle. Your in-laws' judgment doesn't hurt you only emotionally. It biologically interferes with your capacity to be your baby's anchor. And that is serious enough to say out loud. This is where the most painful paradox of modern motherhood lives. You feel it in your body. The anxiety when he cries, the letdown reflex when he whimpers, the tightening in your chest when someone tells you you're doing it wrong. You feel that keeping this baby close is right. It's instinctive, it's visceral. But the guilt that society has planted in you says you're weak, that you're raising a dependent child, that you're living for your kid. And so, you oscillate. One day, you respond immediately. The next, you try to wait so you don't spoil him. And that inconsistency, believe it or not, is far more disorienting for a baby's nervous system than any warm, present routine could ever be. Attachment neuroscience, developed by John Bowlby and expanded across decades of research, is clear. What shapes a secure, resilient, emotionally regulated adult is not having been left to manage alone. It is having had a responsive caregiver, a secure base, an adult who consistently showed up when crying called. Attachment theory shows that children who received consistent responses to their needs in early childhood grow into adults with greater frustration tolerance, better emotional regulation, and a stronger capacity to form healthy relationships. It's not the child who was held who struggles to separate at school. It's the child who learned too early that there was no one to count on. You are not creating dependency. You are building the neurological foundation of independence. Only, contrary to what we were taught, that foundation is not built through distance. It is built through presence. So, how do you use all of this in practice? How do you turn neuroscience into something that works at 3 in the morning when you're at your limit and someone is still telling you you're doing it wrong? First, breathe before you respond to the judgment. Not metaphorically, literally. Slow, deep breathing activates the vagus nerve, which is the brake of the autonomic nervous system. When you regulate your own nervous system, you have already begun to regulate his, because co-regulation starts with you. Second, create what researchers call anchoring moments. These are simple, repeatable, predictable interactions. Skin to skin after bath time. The same song before sleep. Your scent on a small cloth kept near him when you can't be there. These rituals aren't indulgence. They are sensory anchors that teach the baby's nervous system to recognize patterns of safety. Third, and this is the most important, stop asking for permission. You do not need the approval of your mother-in-law, your mother, or anyone who raised children before modern neuroscience existed. You have data. You have biology. You have the most finely calibrated instinct that exists, the maternal instinct, which you now know is backed by decades of scientific research. The next time someone tells you that you're spoiling him, you can simply say, "No, I am co-regulating." And if they ask what that means, send them this video. Before we close, I need to tell you something that goes beyond the science of your baby. Because maybe you're here not only for him. Maybe you're here because somewhere inside you lives a child who also didn't have a mother who came when she cried. A child who learned early that her needs were too much, that feeling deeply was excessive, that asking for comfort was weakness. And now, you stand before a being who needs exactly what you never received. And something very deep within you wants to give it, wants to show up, wants to be the anchor that no one was for you. This has a name too, reparenting, and it is one of the most courageous acts a human being can carry out. When you respond to your baby's cries at 2 a.m, exhausted, at the edge of yourself, and yet you still go, you are not only co-regulating his nervous system, you are rewriting a story. You are breaking a pattern that may have crossed generations in your family. You are being, in that moment, the mother you needed and never had. And your nervous system feels that paradox. That's why you sometimes cry right alongside him. That's why picking him up can be both the most loving and most painful act of your day. Because it's not just your baby being cared for, it's you too. Neuroplasticity, the brain's capacity to form new connections throughout life, has no expiration date. The adult brain continues reorganizing itself in response to new experiences. And every time you choose connection over distance, every time you resist the judgment and follow your instinct, you are creating new neural pathways in you and in him. You are not just raising a secure child, you are becoming a more healed version of yourself. This is not poetry. This is neuroplasticity applied to motherhood. And no one, no mother-in-law, no neighbor, no unsolicited advice has the right to take that from you. If this video found you today, it wasn't by accident. This channel exists to be what is sometimes missing in real life. A place where science validates what you already feel, where you don't have to defend yourself to anyone, and where every mother is treated as what she truly is, an extraordinary human being, going through a biological revolution. Subscribe, turn on the bell, and share this with the friend who also needs to hear it. You are not alone, and you are not doing it wrong.